I still can't believe I played that recording at Sunday dinner. Like my mum's fancy china was out. She'd made pot roast. And there I was, hooking my phone up to the Bluetooth speaker to blast a video of my wife and brother. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So this whole thing, God, where do I even start? I guess I should explain that Hunter was my best friend since literally 3rd grade. We did everything together. When he got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer about 8 months ago, I completely fell apart. I mean, I kept working and functioning, but inside I was a mess. Jessica, that's my wife. She seemed really supportive at first. And my brother Owen had just moved back to town after losing his job in Seattle or Portland, I forget which, so he was crashing in our guest room temporarily. Or what was supposed to be temporarily. Jessica and I had been married for like 6 years at this point. We met through work, she was in HR and I was in sales. We bought our house together, but honestly I paid most of the down payment and mortgage because she went part-time after we got married. Said she wanted to focus on getting pregnant eventually, but that never really happened. We'd been trying on and off, but nothing stuck. Whatever. That's not important to this. The thing about Owen is we were never super close growing up. He's 2 years younger than me and we just ran in different circles. He was always kind of a screw-up, hopping from job to job, bad with money. When he called saying he needed a place to stay, I felt bad because he's family and my parents are retired and living in a small condo in Florida, so I said sure. Jessica seemed fine with it. She even said it would be nice to have someone else around the house since I was working so much and spending every free second at the hospital with Hunter. Here's where it gets weird though. My mum started calling me a lot, like every other day, and she kept saying stuff about how Jessica was worried about me, how Owen mentioned I seemed really angry lately, how I needed to maybe talk to someone about Hunter. At first I was like, yeah mum, I'm dealing with my best friend dying, of course I'm not myself. But she kept pushing. She'd say Jessica told her I was snapping at her over little things, that I was staying out late, that I was drinking too much. And I wasn't. I mean, I had a beer or two after visiting Hunter, but I wasn't getting drunk. I wasn't snapping at Jessica. If anything, I was barely talking to anyone because I was emotionally exhausted. But suddenly everyone in my family had this narrative that I was falling apart and being difficult. My dad called once to tell me I needed to appreciate Jessica more because she was being so understanding. My aunt sent me some article about grief and anger. It was bizarre. Jessica started doing this thing where she'd bring up these supposed arguments we had. She'd be like, remember when you yelled at me about the dishes? And I'd be standing there like, what are you talking about? That never happened. But she'd insist it did, and then she'd get teary and say she was just trying to help me. Owen would jump in sometimes too, saying he'd heard us fighting or whatever. I started feeling like I was losing my mind, honestly. The worst part was they made it seem like they barely tolerated each other. Jessica would complain about Owen leaving dishes in the sink or not cleaning up. Owen would make comments about Jessica being uptight. They'd bicker during dinner sometimes. I actually thought it was kind of funny, like sibling energy even though they weren't related. I never suspected anything because they seemed to annoy each other. Hunter died on a Tuesday. The funeral was that Friday. It was horrible, like one of the worst days of my life, obviously. The whole service I was just numb. Jessica came with me and she held my hand during the ceremony and cried a little. Owen didn't come. Said he had a job interview he couldn't miss. I didn't think much about it at the time. After the funeral, there was a reception at Hunter's parents' house. I stayed for maybe an hour, but I couldn't handle it anymore. Everyone wanted to tell me their favourite Hunter stories and I just needed to be alone. I told Jessica I was heading home and she said she'd stay for a bit longer to help clean up. I said okay and left. I got home around 3 in the afternoon. The house was quiet. I parked in the driveway and came in through the front door, kicked off my dress shoes in the entryway. I was planning to just go sit in the backyard or something, maybe have a drink, I don't know, process everything. Then I heard it. Like I was standing in the hallway and I heard noises coming from upstairs, from our bedroom. And look, I'm not an idiot. I knew what sex sounds were, but my brain couldn't process it at first. I stood there for like 30 seconds just listening and thinking, no way, there's no way. Maybe she came home early too and she's watching something on her laptop or the TV is on or something. I went upstairs. I was trying to be quiet, but also I wasn't really thinking straight. Our bedroom door was closed but not locked. I could hear Jessica's voice and someone else and my heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I pulled out my phone and I don't even know why. Like instinct, I guess. But I opened the camera and set it to video. Then I pushed the door open. They didn't even notice me at first. My wife was in our bed, in the bed I paid for in the house I paid for, with my brother. Owen! They were going at it, and there were clothes everywhere, and I just stood there recording. It took maybe 10 seconds before Jessica looked up and saw me. She screamed. Owen jumped up and started swearing. I didn't say anything. I just kept recording. I got about 40 seconds of footage total, their faces clearly visible, both of them scrambling and yelling at me to stop. Then I left. I walked out of the room, went downstairs, got in my car, and drove to a hotel. I was shaking so bad I almost crashed twice. I checked into the first place I could find and just sat on the bed staring at the wall. They both called me like 50 times. Text messages rolling in. Jessica saying it wasn't what it looked like, which come on. Owen saying we needed to talk. I ignored all of it. I watched the video I took probably 100 times that night. I couldn't stop. It was like my brain needed to confirm it was real. But here's the thing that really made me insane. The next day, Saturday, I got calls from my mom and my dad, both of them saying they'd talked to Jessica and she was worried about me, that I'd come home and had some kind of episode, that I'd accused her of cheating with Owen and stormed out, that she was scared and didn't know what to do because I'd been acting so unstable since Hunter died. My mum actually said to me, she said, "Tyler, honey, I think the grief is making you paranoid. Jessica loves you. Owen is your brother. You need to calm down and come home and apologize." And that's when I realized what they'd been doing. All those weeks of them telling my family I was angry, unstable, drinking, snapping at Jessica. It was all set up. They were building a narrative so that when I inevitably caught them, they could say I was having a breakdown, that I was seeing things that weren't there, that I was the problem. I went through my phone, I looked at my message history with Jessica and with Owen. Jessica had sent a text to our family group chat the night before saying I'd had an episode and she was giving me space. Owen had messaged my dad privately saying he was worried about me. I could see the preview of the message in Dad's text to me about it. Then I checked our shared laptop. Jessica wasn't great with technology, and she'd been logged into her Facebook Messenger on it for years. I probably shouldn't have looked, but I did. And there it was. Months of messages between her and Owen. Started right after he moved in. Talking about how much they cared about each other, how hard it was to hide it, how they needed to figure out how to be together, and multiple messages about me. About how I was always working, how I was emotionally unavailable, how the grief over Hunter made me difficult to be around. They'd been planning this. They were laying groundwork to make me look unstable so they could, what? Kick me out of my own house, get me to leave so they could be together. There was a message from Jessica to Owen from 2 weeks before saying we should talk to his parents about maybe doing an intervention or something. An intervention? For what? For grieving my dying best friend. I took screenshots of everything. The messages, the video, all of it. Then I made a plan. See, my family does Sunday dinner together probably once a month. My parents fly up from Florida sometimes or we go down there, but generally when they're in town we all get together. There was one scheduled for that Sunday, literally 2 days after the funeral. Jessica had already RSVP'd yes for both of us in the family text chain. I messaged my mum and said I'd be there. She seemed relieved, texted back saying she was glad I was willing to talk things out and that we could work through this as a family. I didn't reply to that. Sunday comes around. I showed up at my parents' place right at noon when dinner was supposed to start. Jessica and Owen were already there. Jessica's eyes were red like she'd been crying. Owen looked uncomfortable. My parents greeted me all concerned, my mum hugging me too tight and my dad patting my shoulder. My aunt was there too, and my younger cousin Emily, though she's 25 now, so not that young, I guess. We sat down for dinner. Mum had made pot roast and mashed potatoes, the whole thing. Everyone was being super careful around me, like I was a bomb about to go off. Jessica kept looking at me with these sad eyes. Owen wouldn't look at me at all. My mum finally brought it up during the meal. She said something like, "Honey, we're all here because we love you and we want to support you through this difficult time." Jessica mentioned you've been struggling and we think maybe you need some additional help processing Hunter's death. I nodded along. I said, yeah, it's been really hard. Everyone relaxed a little. Then I said, actually, there's something I want to show everyone. Something that might explain why I've been so upset. I pulled out my phone, connected it to their Bluetooth speaker, the one they use for music during parties. My dad asked what I was doing, and I said, just hang on a second. Jessica's face went white. Owen started to stand up, but I hit play before he could move. The audio filled the entire dining room. The video I took, you could hear everything. Jessica's voice very clearly. Owen's voice. The sounds. Everything. My mum gasped and covered her mouth. My dad just froze. Emily said, "Oh my God." My aunt started yelling, "What is this?" I let it play for maybe 15 seconds before I stopped it. Said that's what I came home to on Friday, after Hunter's funeral. That's what I found in my bedroom, in my house. The room exploded. My mum started crying. My dad started yelling at Owen, asking what the hell was wrong with him. My aunt was yelling at Jessica. Emily looked like she wanted to disappear. Jessica tried to say something about how it wasn't planned, how it just happened, how they didn't mean for it to go this way. Owen actually tried to say I was invading their privacy by recording them, in my own house, in my own bedroom. I pulled out my phone again and showed them the screenshots, the messages between Jessica and Owen, the ones where they talked about making me look unstable, where they discussed telling my family I was having anger issues and grief-related breakdowns, where they literally strategized about how to make me seem like the problem. My dad read them over my shoulder and I watched his face change. He looked at Owen and said, "Get out," just like that. Get out of my house. Owen tried to argue, but Dad wasn't having it. He started yelling about how Owen had been staying with us rent-free, how I'd supported him. How could he do this? My mum turned on Jessica then, started asking how long this had been going on. Jessica was crying and saying she was sorry, she never meant to hurt me, they'd fallen in love and didn't know what to do. My mum said you manipulated my entire family. You made us think our son was falling apart so you could justify your affair. She was so angry I don't think I'd ever seen her like that. I explained about the house, how I owned it, how I'd paid the down payment and the mortgage, how Jessica had been part-time for years, basically living off my income, how Owen had been freeloading in the guest room. I said they had 1 week to get their stuff out. After that I was changing the locks and anything left behind would be on the curb. Jessica started begging, saying she had nowhere to go. I didn't care. Owen said he'd already been applying for jobs in other cities, like that mattered. My dad told him he wasn't welcome in their condo anymore either. My mum said she didn't want to see either of them until they figured out how to apologise properly, though honestly I don't think she meant ever. Dinner was over, obviously. My aunt left pretty quickly, taking Emily with her. My parents sat with me for a bit after everyone was gone. My dad apologised for believing Jessica and Owen's story. My mum cried and said she should have known something was off. I told them it wasn't their fault. These two had been working on this manipulation for months, apparently. They were convincing. I stayed at a hotel for another week while Jessica packed her stuff. I had a friend come with me when I went back to grab some clothes and my laptop. Jessica tried to talk to me, but I told her to communicate through her lawyer once she got one. Owen had already cleared out of the guest room, probably staying with a friend, or maybe he went back to Seattle, I don't know. The divorce went through pretty fast since I had all the evidence. Jessica didn't even fight me on anything. She took her personal stuff and that was it. No alimony, nothing. My lawyer said she knew she didn't have a case. So yeah, that's how I ended up blowing up my marriage and my relationship with my brother at Sunday dinner using a Bluetooth speaker. People keep asking if I regret it, and honestly no, not even a little bit. They tried to make me and everyone I love think I was crazy. They manipulated my family during the worst time of my life. They deserved what they got. Okay, so, since people have been asking for an update, I guess I'll share what's happened since. Jessica ended up moving in with one of her friends from work. I think Caitlin, maybe. I heard through the grapevine she's been telling people we divorced because of irreconcilable differences, which is hilarious, but whatever. She can tell herself whatever she needs to. Last I heard she picked up more hours at her job because turns out you need money when you're not living off someone else's mortgage payment. Owen apparently did move back to Seattle, or maybe it was Portland, I still don't remember. My dad ran into someone who knows him, and they said he's working at some tech startup doing customer service or something. He sent me an email a few months ago trying to apologise, but I deleted it without reading past the first line. My mum says I should eventually forgive him because family is family, but I'm not there yet and might never be. The family dynamics are weird now, obviously. Like, we still do Sunday dinners sometimes, but there's this Owen and Jessica-shaped hole in everything. My cousin Emily apparently told everyone at her college about what happened, and now her friends call me the Bluetooth speaker guy, which is mortifying but also kind of funny. My parents feel really guilty still about believing the manipulation. I've told them like 100. Times it's fine, but my mum keeps doing stuff like calling to check on me every few days, and my dad sent me money for no reason last month. I think they're trying to make up for it. The house feels different now, but in a good way, I think. I got rid of the bed and bought a new one, repainted the guest room. It's actually nice having the space to myself. I started going to this grief group for people who lost friends, not because of the Jessica stuff, but because I really did need help processing Hunter's death and I never got to do that properly with everything else happening. I'm doing okay, I guess. Some days are harder than others, but at least now when I come home I know exactly who's there, just me. And honestly, that's better than wondering who's lying to me.